Halloween is one of the most decorative holidays celebrated all year round, second only to Christmas. But the ghoulish and disturbing decorations can sometimes obscure real-life perceptions, often to horrifying effect. Case in point, when a 42-year-old Delaware woman committed suicide by hanging herself in her front yard on Halloween Eve. Her body hung from a noose on full display and was simply taken for another spooky decoration for almost 5 days after her death. Another instance found a postal worker delivering mail to a resident and stepping over what he believed to be a dead body decoration lying on the front porch. The mailman left without a second thought, only to be devastated when he learned from the family of the home later on that the body he had ignored was in fact the corpse of the homeowner, who had collapsed shortly before he arrived. And another terrifying case in Los Angeles found tenants in an apartment ignoring the body of a dummy with a blown-off face propped up outside the door. All of them were shocked to discover it was not a dummy at all, but another tenant who had recently shot himself in the face. Halloween's scary mythic reputation often bleeds over into real life, as the holiday has been at the center of graphic and disturbing murders throughout history. In 2010, a man named William Liskey Jr. broke into his father's home and proceeded to brutally murder his own family. In the massacre, Liskey took the lives of his father, stepmother, and stepbrother before escaping from the home in the dead of night. When another stepbrother discovered the murder scene, he at first believed it to be some sort of sick prank. After he realized what had really happened, he called the authorities, and Liskey was eventually caught in Sandusky, Ohio. The tale of the stranger's candy was created by a man named Ronald Clark O'Brien after his son was killed by eating a pixie stick laced with poison. O'Brien claimed that his son got the candy after he'd gone trick-or-treating, but had no clue as to which house gave it to him. However, it soon came to light that it was O'Brien himself who gave the candy to his son in an attempt to cash in on his son's life insurance policy and hide the crime. O'Brien's daughter and other 3 children did not eat the poison candy and thus were spared. On the Halloween evening of 2008, a convicted drug dealer named Quentin Patrick fell into a bout of paranoia when his doorbell rang and he assumed it was rival gang members there to collect on Patrick's life. In retaliation, Patrick grabbed an AK-47 and fired nearly 30 shots into the door blindly. 11 of the bullets struck 12-year-old TJ Darisaw, almost killing him instantly. Darisaw's father and younger brother were also struck by Patrick, but neither suffered fatal injuries. In 2011, a woman named Taylor Van Dyst was found the morning after Halloween, severely beaten, almost to death, by a railroad track in Armstrong, British Columbia. She later died at a nearby hospital. While clues were scarce, police checked Dyst's phone to see if she'd called anyone before she died. What they found was a text message to her then-boyfriend, stating that she believed she was being followed as she walked home. A man named Matthew Forrester was charged with the murder in early 2015. On Halloween in 1973, a Wisconsin 9-year-old was abducted by her neighbor after approaching his home while trick-or-treating alone. Lisa French was snatched by Gerald Turner, who then locked her in his house, raped, killed her, and stuffed her body into a plastic bag, only to throw it into a deserted field. When Turner's crime was discovered, he was sentenced to prison, but eventually released on parole. As Turner attempted to readjust to a normal life, he was rejected from numerous jobs, and eventually filed a discrimination complaint against the waste management company of his city after they declined to hire him. Convicted murderer Richard Beigenfeld's childhood trauma does well to explain his horrendous 5 murders. Beigenfeld attempted to set fire to his own home at the age of 5, and at the age of 8 was already well on his way to becoming an alcoholic. He received electroshock therapy, and at 11, repeatedly attempted to light himself on fire. All of these instances clearly foreshadowed his insane act on the Halloween evening of 1981, when he abducted 17-year-old Maria Chialela as she walked by her lonesome on Route 88, chopped her body into pieces, and then buried the dismembered corpse in the yard of his mother's house on Staten Island. The Toolbox Killers, Lawrence Bittaker and Ray Norris, were serial rapists and murderers at large in 1979, having made a name for themselves by implementing the use of tools like pliers and hammers in their horrific crimes. Their last murder took place on Halloween night, when they abducted 16-year-old Shirley Ledford as she hitchhiked home from a Halloween party. Ledford was beaten, gagged, sodomized with the tools, and eventually strangled with a wire coat hanger, before being abandoned on the front lawn of a stranger's home.